Welcome to the Page by Page Book Club. I'm your host, Paige and Print, and I bring you weekly book club meetings wherever you get your podcasts. It's time for the promised reading recap episode. We're going to be chatting about what I read in March and what I read in April. It wasn't pretty, y'all. It wasn't pretty. I'm going to be honest with you. I finally opened up, truly about this to one of my best friends, Molly Goins, this week, and it was very freeing, so I'm going to open up to you all about it. I have been deeply struggling to read for fun since, I would say, the fall of last year, but really since the beginning of this year, and it has broken my heart, and I know that sounds crazy, or a little dramatic, I suppose, but reading has been, man, we're serious, right out the gate in the first 60 seconds. Hope you love it. But reading is and has been everything to me since I started reading in the summer of 2023. I could not love anything more than I love reading. And the escape it provides me and the empathy and the just everything about it I love. And if you know me, you will laugh at this, but I just have a tendency to monetize all my hobbies and to take things to the extreme level. I couldn't just teach spin, I had to be an instructor. Couldn't just be in a sorority, had to be the president. And then now it's I can't just read, I had to make a book talk, and then can't just have a book talk, I have to have an author services business. And the list goes on and on. I'm an Enneagram type 1. I like to be the best possible at everything that I'm involved in, and just in a lot of ways that has deeply impacted me as a person. Now, I love my job more than anything on the planet. If you're new here, I'm a literary publicist and COO. I work with authors for a living to help get visibility and strategy in place for them to sell their books. It is my dream. I do Patreon, and I'm able to support over 100 authors over there, which is so cool. And I've been able to expand my business in that way. And so I think I have been in this season of working, and I love my job. I know I say it over and over again, but that's just something that's really important to the nuance of this conversation as we're getting into it. It's I love what I do, and I would not trade it for anything. However, the one piece of this job is that reading has now become work. I never read anything for fun anymore. And what I mean by that is there will never be a book that I read, for the most part, that I don't plan on discussing online in some capacity. And now that bookish content creation is a pillar of my business, that just eliminates reading for fun in any capacity. However, I've said this before on the podcast, I kind of would assume that it's similar to a way an athlete views their job, where it's doing the sport is the work, but they love playing the sport, and they wouldn't want any other job. That's how I feel about my job. But if you're doing anything that's required of you for extended periods of time, it will just fatigue you a little bit. And so I've really felt that weight, I think, in a major way as of late. And it breaks my heart because there's so many books I'm dying to read and all those kind of things, but it's the physical act of sitting down and reading that I'm just really struggling to accomplish, especially outside of reading for my clients. I'm able to read for my clients, and that is just about it. And two, I think with this job, one of the more unexpected elements, I'm a lot about me, but we'll get to the books. But an unexpected element of this job is the amount of rereading I do. So I'll read it, and it's first iteration, and then I'll read it again for a content poll once it's ready for proof or after proof. And then I will likely read it for a third time with the audiobook, or just again for another round of content polling. So it's just, I read the same stories a lot, so I've read probably the same amount of books in terms of repetitions this year as normal, but I'm reading the same books 3 times, which is just kind of tricky. And another element of this is I read books very quickly. As you all know, I read about 140 pages an hour, so I can read a book 3 or 4 hours. So I read very quickly. I used to read like a book a day, and I want to get back to that. And my work life is actually changing quite a bit. I've hired another marketing manager, so now I have the lovely, incredible Rachel from Rachel's Reading and Presh from Presh Reads on my team here at Page and Print. I have my absolutely phenomenal PA Remington. I could not do it without her. She always says, she's like, it's not a big deal. Like, it's just, pressing posts or whatever, but she's changed my life in a way that I cannot begin to express. She just takes so much of the daily stress off of me. So if you're watching, I love you. I have an interest form open for another person. So, just tons of transition happening there. My client base has needed to narrow down a little bit, so I'm working full-time with 3 clients, and the rest I am consulting for. So, everything's changed in just every capacity, and so my world is definitely opening up here in the month of May, and the big goal here is to rework reading into my work day, interestingly enough. So the goal is going to be here to read a book a day during the week, during the work day. So try to read starting at 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. or 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. and read a whole book there, and then maybe even take the weekends off. I'm just having to restructure the way I read. And it's just crazy to even be having this conversation on a podcast, I feel like, because I think for most people listening, reading is the hobby. It is the escape. And for me, it's the work, but I love every moment of it. Like, I think hopefully y'all know my heart and just can kind of try to understand the complexity of the situation, I suppose. So anyway, all this to say, reading has been really hard, and it really, really came to a head in March and April during this transition period for me. So that's kind of where I've been, what I've been up to, but I have read a few books. I would probably say around 10 in the past 2 months, so 5 each month, which is just like crazy low numbers for me personally. So hopefully in this next recap here at the beginning of June, I'll come back to you with great news and lots of books to have been read, because I miss it. Like, I really, really miss it. And once I get into reading, like once I get the ball rolling and I just sit down and I actually pick up the Kindle, I'm like, oh yeah, I like this. But it's getting myself to sit down and read. It's just brutal. So, okay. That's where I've been. That's what's been happening. That's what you missed on Glee. And I have read some phenomenal books in the meantime. And I do just want to talk about some books that have been just real standouts for me lately. And we're just going to get the ball rolling. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for letting me info dump for literally 8 minutes. I hope you loved it. I'm so sorry. I'm opening up my Goodreads here to see where I'm at. Hello. Man, 400 books read. Would you look at that? Love this for us. I need to update this by date read. That's just not right. Something's very not right. My Goodreads is very angry at me. I know that this is not correct. It's pulling like 2024 books. Oh, date updated. That's the problem. Date read is what I need. I hope you're enjoying this journey that I'm forcing you to come along with me. Okay. Here we go. March. March was a bit of a doozy. In March, I did a reread of Roleplay by K. Cove for a little bit of a content poll, but the piece de la resistance is gray area. Is that even what that is? Piece de la... That can't be right. But you get my point. Gray Area by K. Cove. Have you ever been in a friendship where you are watching the friend, this is getting deep really fast, where you're watching your friend lose themselves to the person that they're in a relationship with, to the point where you're having to say, it is me or your partner. I cannot watch you do this to yourself anymore. I've told you time and time again he's wrong for you, or they're wrong for you. I cannot watch this anymore. If you don't leave, I'm walking. Well, this book is that to the max. So that conversation occurred 2 years prior to the timeline in which this book is existing upon. And our FMC, Celeste, is absolute boss. She's a fashion mogul at the top of a fashion company. And she's in her office and receives the news that her former best friend has passed. And they were not on speaking terms, but she had just recently finally divorced her husband, the FMC did. And she was going to tell her best friend and just had been putting it off and off and off, and her best friend has passed. Well, in a shocking turn of events, her best friend has left something to her in her will. What did she leave to her? Well, the late best friend was pregnant by surrogate. And the surrogate's still pregnant. And our FMC's late best friend has left her unborn surrogate child. Yeah, dude. And so there's a custody battle going on between the late best friend's toxic mother and our FMC. And all the while, our FMC, when she goes to the funeral, hires an escort who's 12 years younger than her to attend with her. And they hit it off like crazy. And he falls for her in a way that she's never experienced before. And you guessed it, there's a romance unfolding between them. It is the most beautiful, angsty, real, like, testimony to romance and friendship and millennial women and aging women. Like, it is just cry-worthy. That was Molly Goins with the text message here. So I hope you heard that. And Molly, if you're listening, hello. You are live on the podcast. Do not disturb. So, gray area. Just out of this world phenomenal. Now, speaking of books that are being released. You'll remember a few weeks ago, I was talking about Blue Northern by Tilly H. Colson, and I almost spoiled it for you, and nothing had been revealed about it yet. Well, now the tropes in the blurb are revealed, and I can talk. And you know I'm going to talk. This is another just like angsty number in the best way. It is a second chance between a divorced couple, and she returns to their hometown after being away for over a decade after their divorce, pregnant. And someone is following her very closely. If you catch my drift, you pick up what I'm putting down. She has a stalker, and he's a sheriff's deputy, so he's going to take really good care of her, make sure nothing crazy happens to her or the baby. But the question is, who's the father? What's going on here? Where's the dad? Etc., etc. You'll find out. It's crazy. The twists and the turns in this book keep me reeling to this day. And then third, 3 books that are coming out. Okay, sorry, I need to give you dates. Gray Area is coming out May 12th. Blue Northern, May 8th. And you knew I was going to bring it up again because I can't go a podcast without talking about it. Beneath the Frost by Lena Hendricks. You have to read it. It comes out April 30th. Roman Empire, 6 stars. You don't understand what this book did to me. It was the most vulnerable, stunning, unreal. Like, Lena, what have you done to me? Our MMC is an amputee. He lost his leg in a car accident. He's ex-military. He is her brother's best friend. And he has fired 3 in-home nurses. And she is a runaway bride for a reason you'll find out in the prologue. But she's running away. And she ends up moving back to her hometown. And she's like, I cannot live with my parents. Like, please don't make me. And so when it comes to pass that her brother's best friend needs someone to live with him to kind of just assist him amidst this transition, both mentally and physically for him, she's the one to do it. And she's so attracted to him out the gate. She never, ever once pities him. Ever. And it's just like his internal monologue wrecked me in a way that I really haven't ever been wrecked by an internal monologue. It was vulnerable. It was just devastatingly beautiful, aching, and then his evolution throughout the book and the way it plays out in the third act, the pacing, the prose, the character development on both of their parts. I'm actually getting emotional again. How many times will I cry over Beneath the Frost on the podcast? I'm calling up Lena and we're getting her on the pod expeditiously. Lena, are you listening? Can you please come on the pod right now? I'm gonna text her right now. I'll text her right when I got off. Like, we gotta get Lena Hendricks on the podcast. So, other things I've read, what I've been up to. I finished out the Rosewood River series by Laura Pavlov. Did a little Whisper Sweet Nothings action. It was really great. Y'all know I love the Rosewood River series. I reread Tattletale by Kay Cove, the second book in the Paladin series. I reread Strong and Wild by Sloane St. James for funsies because I love that story. If you're looking for a little bit of spice, that is the number for you. Drifting Dawn by Samantha Young. Guys, can we get a round of applause for Samantha Young, by the way? She was just on the podcast last week. Absolutely check her out. She is the absolute delight that you think and hope she is. She is just, the way that she thinks about her characters and her stories is phenomenal. And she's everything to me. I am, as y'all know, and if you listen to that episode, I was like fangirling to the max. I just love her dearly. So I listened to Drifting Dawn, and that book had me weeping. And I'm not a crier, really, when I read. But again, Beneath the Frost, Drifting Dawn, the girls have been making me cry lately. And Drifting Dawn in particular. Again, with the vulnerable internal monologues. And this is Second Chance, and there was a bit of dual timeline here. So the flashbacks gutted me. And the yearning. And there's grovel, like no one grovels quite like a Samantha Young man. Like, it was just wow. So, love that. Then we had The Playbook, Erin McKenzie, another best friend's brother number. We were talking about brother's best friend, now it's best friend's brother. Erin just writes just some really lovely sports romance. I always feel like it's a breath of fresh air when I listen to her stories. I listened to the first books in that series, Line of Scrimmage and End Zone. I'm looking at them on my shelves. This time last year, in May of last year, when my husband and I took a little beach trip, shout out Mr. Page and Print, I know you're here, and just adored them. And Erin was so generous and offered me a code to listen to The Playbook now that it's available. I need to get book 4 onto my shelves. I might be meeting her later in May, so I'll need to pick that up from her table if she's there. But just a really phenomenal found family sports romance story. And The Playbook in particular, she has had a crush on him their like entire lives, and he's been kind of like rolling his eyes at it, and then all of a sudden it clicks. And I just love She Falls First. I know he falls first, she falls hard, or he falls first, he falls harder always hits, but I am on record notorious fan of She Falls First, citing The Playbook, citing Sable Peak, Devony Perry, citing Stealing You, Molly Goins. Like, She Falls First is my jam because I just can't quite explain it, but maybe I need to do another trope battle. We're talking a lot about trope battles, but She Falls First versus He Falls First, like, I think She Falls First is going to win out for me. So if you have any She Falls First recs, holler. Loved that. What else am I missing? Like, how are we doing here? I don't really know. Am I missing other things that I've read, like, that I'm allowed to tell you about? That's the other gag of it all. Sometimes I just can't tell y'all about what I've been reading. Sometimes it's a little top secret locked down moment. You know what? While we're together, let's voice note Lena Hendricks. Hello, Lena. I'm live on the podcast, actually, and I yet again cried over Beneath the Frost on the podcast, but I was just telling the listeners that we need to have you on ASAP. So this is me officially requesting your availability live as I'm recording the podcast, because I have to talk to you about this story and just all the amazing things that you're doing with the Kings we're releasing and all that good stuff. So we need to get a date on the calendar ASAP. She's going to love that, I hope. Man, I love Lena Hendricks. She's just one of the, like, wonders of the world, greatest delights ever. So, love her. Some things that I'm really looking forward to reading. Of course, West of Forever is releasing in June, on June 16th. Trope Sick is releasing June 16th. And I am being told, this is an early report, that I am going to be a Trope Sick girl. And I can kind of feel it in the air. My best friend Torianne has flagged this to me. She says that this is This is going to be big time, big news. I need to batten down the hatches. That triptych is going to change my life. So I cannot wait for that. I'm waiting for audio, and I cannot wait. I am a huge auditory learner. So any sort of magical realism, fantasy, just anything in that realm, I just absorb best when I listen. So that's what we're waiting on there. I'm, of course, extremely excited for Rumors and Whiskey from Victoria Wilder. The countdown is on in a major way there. Victoria writes extremely incredible, strong women, so cannot wait for that. Sarah A. Bailey's keeping us fed this year. Kay's keeping us fed this year. Never Been Tamed cover reveal, Corinne Michaels. Man, like, guys, this year is that girl. So, big updates as well. I'm traveling a ton in May and June. So, with all that travel upcoming, I'm going to be reading a lot because I'm going to be on planes a lot, like a lot. It's interesting, like the week of June 15th, I think that I'm going to be on a plane. I'm going 5 hours from Nashville to Seattle and then 5 hours back. And then 3 days later, I'm doing 7.5 hours to France. So like, I'm going to be sat and there will be books to be read. And I'm very, very excited about all of that, just downtime and a little bit of relaxation time, a little reading by the pool time, dare we say. So that's kind of what's on the table there. And then, let's see. Anything else that I need to update you all on life-wise? Oh, other anticipated release, Catherine Cowles' Into the Fading Twilight. Like, I'm clapping and cheering about that. Ooh, I really, really want to read King of Gluttony by Anna Wong. I think that came out today. It's Tuesday the 28th when I'm recording this. Really excited about that. King of Envy had me like in a chokehold. So I'm really, really excited for that. Yeah, and I have been jotting down just some not random, but like books that I've been coming across and are getting fed to me in the algorithm that I'm really excited to dive into as well. And I'm trying to do at least one new to me author a month, if not more. So that's been really, really fun and a good just way for me to get outside the box. I think I have so many auto-buy authors that my world is sometimes just consumed with my auto-buy authors. So trying to expand my horizons in that way. And yeah, waiting for Small Town Smoke Show, Holly Renee. What else? Looking at the shelves. Colt, Jessica Peterson. The world is our oyster, people. The world is our oyster. I'm going to have to talk about Rights of the Starling in another episode because I have so many things to say on that. Phenomenal. Man. Yeah. Just so many amazing and exciting things to come. I hope that you all are having a great start to your year, good reading years. And then next week, I'm really, really excited to be welcoming the one, the only, Sarah A. Bailey back to book club. She's our first book club returnee, and I just think that that's going to be thrilling. We're going to be talking about all things second gen, Tattered Tides, etc. So stay tuned for that. Sarah, if you're listening, love you. Can't wait. And though this was a short one, I think I'm going to drop it here, but thank you for letting me vent a little bit, give you all a little update on the mental and that good stuff. And we will absolutely, hopefully, be back to regularly scheduled programming here come June 1st. So I adore each and every one of you. I couldn't do it without you. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.